And the lights come on, the studio opens. Time to do 55 minutes of business. That's what we do on Business Incorporated. And here's what we have prepared for you. It might be March 8th, but International Women's Day celebration is on already. We have no shortage of forex. That's what the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is saying. And vehicle regulation begins in South Africa and also in Nigeria. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's do business. Starting from the global space, gold fell on Thursday. It's hurt by a slight recovery in the US dollar and higher treasury yields, while investors are awaiting US non-farm payrolls that are supposed to assess a Federal Reserve's interest rate path amid escalating global trade. So look at the numbers for now. Spot gold is down 0.5%. 2,903. We see gold is back on the 2,900 level. It has done better than this before, so we'll see if it can get back to that new high that it hit before now. US gold is also down 0.5%, $2,910, 10 cents. Spot silver down 0.5% for three of them. $32.47, and platinum down much more than gold at $959.13. Palladium is also down $934.25. The U.S. exempted auto cars from 25% tariff from Mexico and Canada for just a month, as long as they complied with existing free trade rules. U.S. President Donald Trump is also open to hearing about other products that should be exempted. We know agriculture is part of that. Our worries over Trump's tariff policies have pushed safe haven gold to a record high of $2,956.15. That happened February 24, helped it to gain more than 10% year to date. We're still in the global space now, but let's look at what's happening with oil. Prices rose on Thursday after very heavy sell-offs drove the market to a multi-year low. So we see a 0.33%, but we notice that Brent is still under $70. This is not where we left it yesterday. So all through the night, up to early hours of this morning, great sell-off is what we saw on Brent. And WTI also, that dropped 0.42%. $66.59 a barrel. So Brent plunged 6.5% in the previous 4 sessions, dropping to its lowest since December 2021 on Wednesday, while WTI fell 5.8% over the same period to its lowest since May 2023. The sharp dip in oil prices below the key $70 level may prompt a slight breather in today's session as technical conditions attempt to stabilize from oversold territory. However, recovery momentum remains fragile, with unfavorable supply-demand dynamics being a key overhang for bullish sentiment, where prices fell after the U.S. enacted tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods, including energy imports. At the same time, major producers have decided to raise output quotas for the first time since 2022. That, of course, is coming from OPEC+. Now let's come home to Nigeria. A celebration from the First Bank of Nigeria, which is one of Nigeria's West Africa's leading financial power. Well, they took a bold step, and that started yesterday, deepening that position in the provision of cutting-edge services with a groundbreaking ceremony for its new green certified iconic head office building that will be in Eko Atlantic City in Lagos. The 40-story building, which will be the tallest in the country, is a symbol of engineering which would set a new standard for the financial services sector in Africa. The chairman of First Holdco, Mr. Femi Otedola, in his speech, appreciates the support of First Bank's customers and stakeholders who have worked together and turned that vision into reality.
In the last 130 years, First Bank Nigeria PLC has dedicated itself to the provision of cutting-edge financial services and intends to keep this tradition with the groundbreaking of an iconic head office building in Eko Atlantic City, Lagos. Vice President Kashin Shettima is joined by other eminent Nigerians, including the President of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, Chairman First Hold Co., Mr. Femi Otedola, former Senate President Bukola Saraki, state governors, and business executives.
We are an institution with a proud heritage.
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, First Bank Group, Mr. Olusegun Alebioshu, in his welcome address, says this groundbreaking places First Bank as a bank for the future.
This new head office complex is not just about a modern architectural masterpiece. It is about reimagining banking for generations yet unborn.
Chairman First Hold Co., Mr. Femi Otedola, in his address, maintained that First Bank will continue to invest in cutting-edge technology that will redefine banking across Africa and the world.
We shall continue to invest in cutting-edge technology, vibrant human capital, strategic partnerships, and customer-centric innovations that will redefine banking globally, even as we deepen our footprints across Nigeria and Africa in general.
At a ceremony like this, goodwill messages are not in short supply, and the first to speak is President Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, followed by other guests.
I want to congratulate you and the entire board and management of First Bank Group and also First Bank for actually taking this bold move of building this massive edifice in the city of Eko Atlantic in Lagos State.
Femi, starting this structure is of prime importance. It is really the starting point of the vision of our president.
The proposed 43-story building headquarters of the bank, this by itself marks another first for the bank.
Host Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his remarks, promises to create a more conducive environment for the financial community to operate and hands over the certificate of approval for the construction to the First Bank Group.
To all of our other big financial institutions, First Bank, as usual, being the first bank in our country, has led the road. It is now time for all of you to follow suit.
Vice President Kashim Shettima commends First Bank for making Nigeria proud.
First Bank has extended its reach from Lagos to London, Beijing, and around major financial centers worldwide, proudly flying Nigeria's flag on the global stage. This tour will symbolize ambition and excellence in Eko Atlantic. It will attract investment, consolidate Lagos' position as a leading financial hub, and showcase the dynamism of Nigeria's private sector.
Gentlemen of the press, please make space.
The 40-story building, upon completion, will accommodate offices, a 1,300 car park, and serve as an architectural landmark that will elevate the Eko Atlantic City skyline and position First Bank as a 21st century financial solutions center for Africa and the world.
So we say congratulations to First Hold Co there, customers, investors, potential investors. Now, the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, says that the state government is fully committed to fostering a market-driven, innovation-led financial sector. He said that the Lagos State Government, through the Lagos International Financial Center, which is being established in collaboration with entrepreneurs, ENGR, and other key stakeholders, will create an enabling environment that supports seamless trading and attracts foreign investment, as well as enhance competitiveness of the financial market. Governor Sanwo-Olu made this comment during a meeting with license exchanges and key stakeholders on the Lagos International Financial Center project in Lagos. It's the first executive stakeholders meeting between the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and company CEOs licensed exchanges on the Lagos International Financial Center project. The operators in the financial market take turns to explain how to strengthen the commodities exchange market.
We need to have in our minds the need to integrate the capital markets with the real economy.
If the government sees that as a key challenge to be solved, the exchanges have always had that as a challenge. This is probably an opportunity to come through together to address that.
Then Mr. Ayodeji Balogun, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Apex Commodities and Futures Exchange, speaks on the increase in price of cocoa and trading of gas in Nigeria that creates part of free market system.
In the last 3 years, cocoa prices have gone up 3 times. Second, energy. The West African gas pipeline is a huge advantage. Where else would you want to trade all of that gas, both in physical spot delivery and in derivatives, except for Lagos?
International financial sector is being highlighted also with lessons for the domestic sector.
I believe that the power in what Lagos State is doing with LIFs is bringing to the consciousness of Nigerians the fact that transforming ourselves to DFIC or Singapore and so on is not that it's not as if it's not about heavy lifting because capacity is not there or because talent. It's not that. It's just simply the leadership and coordination required to do it, and then of course the commitment.
With all of this said, the governor reiterates the state's commitment to support the financial market in order to make Lagos an innovative leading financial sector.
Well committed, we've been on this journey, and we believe is one of the legacies that we government can leave behind.
The exchange institutions have been given 4 weeks to come up with strategies that will enhance market liquidity and advance financial literacy in Lagos. A celebration starting early, FITC celebrating women this year with the theme Accelerating Action, Shaping the Future for Gender Equality. It's a theme that's built from the global theme for 2025. The MD CEO of FITC, Mrs. Chizo Malize, believes that this captures the urgent need for women around the world to live out plans which have been voiced before now. Financial Institutions Training Center, FITC, is celebrating women March 8, which is the set day for it, as the theme for 2025 focuses on accelerate action. For the center, the theme is pushing for women to go beyond words by adopting paths and strategies that will accelerate progress.
This is a call to action, a declaration that we cannot no longer afford to move at the gradual pace in addressing gender disparities. We must actively push forward with intentionality, urgency, determination, and commitment to change the narratives. As you all are aware, different forums all over the world have created fantastic gender gap reports. And from time to time, they become a compass and a reference point for having good insights into the current position.
She should be the first to carry the money because she will.
Although the celebration is for women, participants draw attention to the need for a balanced conversation and empowerment always.
So shaping the future for gender equality in Nigeria. Now, first, let me just say this. I'm one that I do believe that equality doesn't mean equality of capabilities, right? Equality of skill. Equality of making sure that no one is being left behind. That's what we're talking about here. I don't want people leaving the room talking about, yeah, I'm going to go kick my husband out.
and the meeting would be incomplete without the voice of at least one man.
Very crucial is the need for the female gender to also, be deliberate, be audacious in terms of, don't see in terms of seeing certain space reserved for the men. For example, you see engineering, they are telling you, this is the men's space, no women, just a few women thrive in this area. But that has to change.
The International Women's Day, which is officially set for March 8, is already having themes customized to suit various groups around the world. Well, expect to see more reports, more meetings on celebrating the women tomorrow, next, and I'm sure even up till Monday. In fact, I think I should let you in that on Monday we do have a special plan, on celebrating the women. So do join us Business Morning on Monday. But now let's celebrate something else. It's the declining food prices. Or has it not gotten to your area yet? Well, I don't know. Let me speak to the Managing Director of BO Farms. Is also the chairman, Agri Group of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Banjoko. Mr. Banjoko, where is my cheap food products? I mean, now that everything is going, that's what you people are saying. I should stock up,
You should stock up now that you have it in the market. So I think we should look at what is going on in different markets, really. And I think there's been declining prices for some weeks now, which is, I would say, a temporary relief to what is being experienced. You look at since 2020, for example, we've really not gone beyond COVID fully when prices started going up. And then in 2023, two things happened that we all know. The Naira was floated, subsidy was removed, then food inflation went up. So we've been battling that, and recently, for some weeks now, the prices seem to...
Why? What's driving it down?
So several is just, so I won't say we are there yet, so it's not something we should celebrate yet. I see it from my perspective is just a temporary relief, not the real solution to what we've been talking about.
So maybe, is it because demand has reduced?
No. So for several factors gave to what is going on in the past few weeks. One, it's harvest season for some products. So obviously, supply is exceeding demand, forcing price to come down, especially beans and some grains. Late last year, if you remember, there was custom waiver for some agri products. That also, granted access for some major grains to come into the country. And then we also have some report coming from maybe IDP camps where some major off-takers for products have not been functioning, especially USAID. They've not been mopping up the volume they used to mop up because they had to stop. So that has pushed products.
That's a factor that seems not so popular.
No. It's, when you look at the entire country, not just looking at one or two states, look at the entire country. So that also, it pushed out a lot of products, especially in the north, where we have a lot of IDPs. So those are just...
And the north is where we have most of the production, the food
coming
production.
from, especially grains. So that's what, so to me, is just a temporary relief, not the solution, because the real factors driving cost has not been addressed fully. Let me use that word. If the price of fertilizer has not reduced, if the cost of buying, getting facility from the bank has not reduced, if other factors besides are still on the high side, the amount we pay laborers are still on the high side, which are the real factors driving the prices. So what we are just seeing is just a temporary relief. We are happy we can stock at least for some time. And it's also a reflection of the fact that we don't have storage capacity in the country. If we have enough storage capacity, most of the products that are being released into the market, probably the producers will be stocking up to ensure that the price is not falling as sharp as it is falling now. So I think we are not there yet. It's not something we should assume. The only, maybe one or two things that is just also aiding and helping is the fact that we saw that the price of petroleum moderated in the last few weeks. Is an healthy competition for the market. You know, price came down.
Yeah, but we haven't seen that seep into price of even transport.
No, it
Have you had transport fare reduced?
I think it seeped in a little. Very marginal.
But if it was an increase now, I'm sure
of course, that's
would
always
have
sharp.
it.
That's always sharp. But I think it's, when you look at the logistics cost for moving some of the products, I think the last time I was there, I gave some analysis of how much they were being charged. So that, and then the dollar too is moderating, kind of, but we have not yet seen it, because until we see all these things reflect in the cost of production, whatever we are seeing is a mirage.
Yeah, but I mean, whose responsibility is it to make it reflect? Now we buy petrol, at least in Lagos, you have it about 860, 870.
Yeah, 860,
but, well, do we need FCCPC to come and help us transfer that?
No, really. Until the main causes are addressed. It's not the issue of it. You know, I think some months back, FCPC went to markets to be saying, are you the one inflating the prices? But they are not the one. But for example now, maize has also been reduced. The price of maize in the market is coming down. So maybe in a few weeks' time, it might reflect in the cost of eggs, chicken, and all that. Because, you know, I think a crate of eggs are average of 6,000 now in the market. So if the price of maize is moderated and sustained, but I think what I would be advising the government at this time would be to latch on this current wave and see how we can at least moderate the prices. And I think we are told by May, when CBN will be doing their next MPC meeting, that they are likely to bring out the interest rates. If they're able to do that, then some of these things can be.
Yeah, if inflation continues trending downwards.
Because if you look at the inflation for December for food now, before the rebased inflation figure, we moved from 39.94 thereabout to 39.8, which was a reflection about what's going on in the market.
Even FDC did a calculation using the old method,
one,
and it's still trending down. Yes.
Though you saw at least with about 0.05, 0.7, so that's fair enough. So if we can latch on that, and if the government can find real means to bring down the exchange rate to maybe 1314 and it's stable, and then if the prices of commodity now can now be coming down gradually, that is the one that we can sustain. Because then I'm also thinking what we could have done with this current situation. I've been pushing for, if we had a commodity board like the president promised in 2023, moderating these prices, so that instead of having a sharp drop and going back to the old price, would have been able to moderate the price all through the year.
So when we talk about price moderation, I wonder what the farmers are thinking or doing, because
so at this time, consumers are happy, but farmers are crying.
Yes.
So that's why it's not sustainable. I will give an example of some commodity.
Because you are a farmer.
So that I can give. So I can tell you, farmers are not happy. As at this time last year, a ton of cassava was about 160,000. Now, as at this week, it's about 90,000. And you imagine when you are producing, that probably you'll be selling 140, 160. So if you are now selling at 90 or 80,000, you're already in debt. Imagine you took loan last year to produce maybe 5,000 beds when maize was maybe 800, 900,000 per ton. And now it's about 600,000, 550,000. And then, so how do you meet up?
But doesn't that allow people to buy more, and that covers up for the shortfall?
No. For those who have produced already, there's nothing. They are at a loss as we speak. And they are at a loss because they were not factored into some of these. These are market forces. Some government, but largely market. But if there was a bit of regulation, then they would have been factored. Because my own fear in this situation where we have found ourselves is that farmers who are responsible for producing these stuffs must not be discouraged. And if the price continues to decline in the next few weeks, I'm sure a lot of farmers will be in debt.
Well, I was excited when we started this conversation, but
no. We can still,
because you are telling us now that it's not going to last.
No. Because it's like I said, it's a relief. It's
but
not
a temporary relief.
It's a temporary relief that is good for all of us, but on the business side, it's not good for us as farmers because we are running at a loss. Selling now, I'm selling at 90,000 per ton. As against so I'm really under my numbers at the moment. But of course, I'm happy that people are smiling. There's nothing to do. But I'm only saying, until the real costs driving the numbers up are addressed, will still be going up and down. So if some of those things we've been mentioning are addressed, I'm sure we'll be able to sustain it.
All right. Well, we do hope that one day it will be addressed. Thank you so much. Managing Director of BO Farms Limited, as well as the Chairman of Agri Group of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Tunde Banjoko.
Thank you, Nipa, for having me.
All right, now we're still talking about agricultural produce. Now let's look at mango. It's known as the king of fruits, and then we've seen a bit of stability in the price of mango. Will they remain stable as the fasting continues, the Ramadan fast continues? Let's speak now to Ajewole from Financial Derivatives Company, Tomiwa Ajewole. Tomiwa, good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Great. So we're talking about the king of fruits now. I just wonder why it's called the king of fruits. But anyways, let's look at the price, what's been happening with it, and what can we expect now that the fast has started?
Yeah, so mango is a seasonal fruit, just like most fruits, and its typical harvest season is it starts in March and extends towards Q2. And so now, when in March, we're beginning to see the early harvest for mango. And typically, now that the supply is not much, ideally, when we're seeing increased harvest, we see lower prices. But now that it's just the early harvest, we're still seeing just little supply, so it hasn't had much effect on prices. Prices have been stable when you compare it to what it was last year. But another reason again is that even the demand yet is yet to pick up. Typically, there's this consumer sentiment that this early harvest is typically unripe. So, demand hasn't gone up. And again, looking at Nigerians right now with the cost of living crisis, inflation at a 30-year high, and reduced disposable income, right now the priority for consumption is on essential goods. So, typically now that it's still just the early harvest and it's not really an essential commodity, we've not seen demand pick up. So that's why the price has remained stable. But in the coming months, when the harvest begins to properly come in and with the fasting that's going on, we expect the prices to come down because of increased supply, and then also with this fasting because fruits are good for using to breakfast. So that will also pick up demand, and then we can begin to see that happen in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, but we're hearing of the probability of a slower output rate. What's causing this?
Yeah, so the economist recently said in Nigeria there are too many small businesses, and when we bring that to farming, we have there's a dominance of subsistence farming compared to commercial farming, and when you have a lot of subsistence farming, there's low mechanization, and that makes the productivity low and the yield low. So that's why our production is not increasing, is not growing fast because there's low productivity and low mechanization. And I take for example when we talk about the propagation method, in Nigeria. There's still a large use of seedling where you use the seed to plant the mango tree, and that takes about 6 years before the fruits start coming out. But if you go to other countries where they have these modern practices, they use grafting varieties, and that makes you plant to fruit in about 2 to 3 years. So that way they have shorter harvest time and then they have more production. But not even to take it too far. If you look at Malawi, in Africa, Malawi is the number one producing mango producing country in Africa. And it's amazing what they've been doing. In 2022, their production was about 1.9 million tons per year. And while Nigeria, we're not even doing up to 1 million tons, just about 0.9. But the interesting thing Malawi did was that they are using less land compared to Nigeria to produce that much. And that's because their productivity level is just high. Malawi's yield per hectare for mango is about 338 grams per hectare, while Nigeria's is about 71. So they're almost about times 5. Their productivity is about times 5 what Nigeria is. And the reason why they've been able to do is because if you look at Malawi's mango market, they have a well-established commercial firms that are producing mango in large quantities, and this will be able to have this value added where they process the mangoes and they export it. So in Nigeria, while our commercial service is increasing, it's still mainly dominated by subsistence farming, and there's low mechanization, low yield. So those are the issues why our production level is still low and compared to global average.
Yeah, but in spite of this low production level, we still see, I mean, as we're entering the season for mangoes now, we would see a whole lot of it, but almost half of what is produced is being wasted because of lack of storage and preservation and processing. Have you heard of any plan by adding value for preservation of mangoes so that when it's even off season, we can still have some?
Yeah, I mean, so typically post-harvest post-harvest losses is a key problem in Nigeria, and not only in Nigeria, even Malawi also struggles with post-harvest. So in Africa, there's a lot of more need for infrastructure that would help in the storage facility and also transportation. But again, one thing that can also help with this to mitigate this post-harvest losses is to really develop our value added sector, the value added chain of our mangoes. So after the slicing mangoes, there are dried mangoes, there are mango purees, mango juice, mango oil. So really, if we're able to boost our processing industry, where after the mangoes are just leaving it on the farm to waste, they actually process. There we can make it where it's have a longer shelf life, and then we can begin to export and also give consumers more variety that could be more healthier and even more affordable. So really it's just boosting our agricultural sector to modern practices where we're having one good storage facilities through technology. They also cold value chain, cold storage facilities. So if we're able to do all of this, we'll be able to really the agricultural sector, whether mango or whatever, be able to really increase and give Nigeria more export earnings.
All right. Thank you so much, Tomiwa Jawale, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company, for sharing those views with us.
Thank you for having me.
Still Business Incorporated here on Channels Television. Head to the markets now. We see a bit of recovery at the NGX. Well, at least we can smile about the 0.16% in the green at this time, even though we've lost the 107,000 level. But let's find out what's happening in the market right now. Let's see if the tide has really changed or if it's just, a blip that will soon be back in the red zone. We have Abiodun Adedotu, who's an equity trader with FBN Quest. Hi, Abiodun. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good afternoon, Ini. It's good to be here again.
Yeah, good to have you. So can we relax and think that perhaps the tide has changed, or is this just, I think they call it a dead cat bounce?
Hard to say though. The market, I think it's actually in a bit of oversold region. Of course, we know that the variables of the economy has changed the past 1 month. When we talk about the GDP rebasing, the inflation numbers coming out, interest rates in the fixed income space also, declining. The government does not want to borrow at the previous levels and things like that. So it's more like investors trying to stay a bit on the sidelines, and we've not really been seeing a lot in volumes. So it's hard to say whether it's a dead cat bounce, but one thing we know is that there's a lot of values across many sectors. The banking sector is still looking very, very good. The banks are still going to make a kill this year, just the way they did last year. We think they will be able to sustain this. If consumer goods are looking better than
seems to be a hitch right there with Abiodun. Hello, Abiodun, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we lost you for a bit now. Kindly continue.
So pretty much, I think across multi-sector, things are looking a lot better. The economy is a bit stable. On the cost side, the FX is pretty much okay than it was about 4, 5, 6 months ago. Pretty much, there's a lot of bargain hunting moves to be made in the market, and I think the market will bounce back.
Yeah, so you talked about the government not being willing to borrow at levels they used to, so we've seen yields are trending down. But does that mean we can expect investors to look the way of the stock market?
It's more, yeah, of course, that in the long run, that's what will happen. But in the short run, this is the beginning of a trend, right? We've seen investors trying to rebalance their portfolio to be able to quickly invest in some of these, elevated levels of interest rates in fixed income. So over time, of course, it's going to gravitate back to the equities space of things. But you sitting there, you thinking that okay, this thing is currently 19. I think it's going to go to 15. Why don't I just take 19 now and when it gets to 15, I get back into equities. You book gains here, you book gain there. You don't want to remain static.
So for today, do you see us sustaining the green color? I'm wearing green and white with the hope that the bull will come back at the close of trade.
No, don't worry. We are on your side today. I think sustains in green.
Yay! All right. Thank you so much, Abiodun, for those. It's really the optimism that we could see something positive at the close of trade.
All right. Sure.
So let's see what's happening in other markets. At the Johannesburg Exchange, it's very green, so green, almost 1%. Even though they haven't come past the 88,000 level, which they've been at for a bit, but at least for intraday today, 0.83%. For Egypt, it's also positive. Don't tell me it's the delay in the 25% tariff that's also driving the markets in Africa, because we see everybody seems to be in the green. Nairobi closed in the green yesterday at 132.40. Let's head to the Middle East now and see what's happening. Well, it seems the shine was taken by African markets, and so you have the negatives for the Middle East. Dubai is red, 0.64%. 5,279.30. Abu Dhabi is also red, 0.47%, 9,511.58. And then Tadawul is also in the red, 1.30%, as well as Qatar. A red Middle East market is what we have today. We head to the United States. This is where the action comes from, and it's more of red also. The Dow Jones is red, S&P 500, and NASDAQ is also red. The touch of NVIDIA seems to have died down right there. So we see a 1.36% drop in the NASDAQ. But let's look back a few hours and see how trade was yesterday, Wednesday, in the United States with our correspondent Maria Bird.
The U.S. stock market rallied on Wednesday as the Dow Jones was up at 1.1%, the S&P 500 also up at 1.1%, and the heavy tech NASDAQ up at 1.4%, leading the way on Wednesday, as all three major auto companies in the U.S. showed signs of increases. They rose stocks up to at least 5%. It is clear that investors are watching to see how these exemptions on tariffs could have an impact on the U.S. economy, as they were excited to hear President Trump's announcement that he would be putting a 1-month exemption on all auto tariffs for Mexico and Canada. It is not clear of how this will have an impact on the U.S. economy in the future, but it appears as if the U.S. stock market is showing early signs of recovery.
Well, I don't know if you'll call it a recovery yet, but I tell you, that's what's happening in the Asian markets. Everybody seems to be excited about the concession of President Donald Trump. So we see for Asia, from the Nikkei 225, which is up closed in the green, 0.77%, to the Hang Seng Index, which closed even more than 3% at the close of trade, to the Kospi and the Shanghai. The Nifty of India also positive at this time, and it's all because of that concession by President Donald Trump on Mexico and Canada. So it's truly one world that we're living in at this time. Whatever happens in one country, one part of the world, also affects others. Let's see what happens in 1 month. Perhaps the plea from the UK, from Canada, and all the friends of the United States would touch the President Donald Trump, and we'll see more concessions when it comes to the tariff. Now let's come back to Africa and see what's happening on our own continent. It starts from Nigeria, where the federal government has pledged its commitment to implementing the end-of-life vehicle regulation. This aims to protect the environment and transform waste into economic opportunities. Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Senator John Eno, who made this known at a stakeholders engagement organized by the National Automotive Design and Development Council. He states that Nigeria has the potential to develop a multi-billion-dollar industry from waste, creating a vast and valuable economic chain. I must add that this, of course, is following examples of countries like South Africa. And still in Nigeria, local workers' rights group has called on the National Social Security Authority to consider what they would call a solar project that would help Nigeria. There are 7 solar hybrid projects which is on offer now, and the government, the Rural Electrification Agency, calling for bids from international and local investors to share this power to other parts of the country. And from there we go to Zimbabwe, where the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has said that there's no shortage of foreign currency in the economy, and even pointed out that supply exceeded demand from entities with valid foreign invoices. RBZ Governor Dr. John said that the foreign currency has realized from export surrender exceeded market demand, indicating that valid export requirements were being met. This contradicts occasional complaints from businesses about foreign currency shortages in the market, which allege that banks are unable to honor foreign invoices due to lack of available currency, and exporters are required to surrender 30% of their export proceeds to the central bank at the prevailing exchange rate. This ensures availability of foreign currency for non-exporting entities that require it to import critical inputs for their operations, and also provides exporters with local currency to meet their domestic obligations, such as statutory payments and taxes. The European Union and the government of Tanzania have celebrated the achievements of the AgriConnect program. It's a flagship initiative that supported sustainable agriculture through improved value chains for shared prosperity. With a total investment of €100 million funded by the European Union, AgriConnect, launched in 2019, they say has played a crucial role in enhancing Tanzania's agricultural sector, particularly in horticulture, coffee, and tea. The celebratory event marks the program's conclusion, graced by Honorable David Selinde, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, and His Excellency Christine Grau, EU Ambassador to Tanzania and the East African Community. Over 100 participants from private and public institutions were in attendance. AgriConnect's program focused on Southern Highlands and Zanzibar and was guided by the EU's holistic farm-to-fork approach. The strategy emphasized improving farm production, road infrastructure, access to finance and market linkages, ultimately improve the nutrition and livelihoods of rural communities. I'm talking about the EU now. The European Commission has presented an action plan to help make Europe's auto industry more competitive, and that's to help it keep up with peers in China and the United States. Well, this is what's going on in the EU. We have Chip Onder in Berlin now to give us more details about this. Chip, I'm happy to hear this, especially now that President Trump has decided to give us a bit of relief on that 25% tariff. But what is this about, and how is it going to fit into the current conversation?
Well, thanks for having me. Well, this action plan is really about driving innovation and ensuring that the auto industry doesn't fall behind when it comes to key technologies such as artificial intelligence. Now, for instance, the EU will provide €1 billion for joint initiatives between the auto industry and the public sector to support the development of self-driving cars in the EU. And Brussels also wants to encourage Europeans to buy more electric vehicles. So it will be discussing incentive systems with member states, and that is something that could lead to tax incentives for buyers of EVs in the bloc. And of course, the European Commission is extending the amount of time that car makers have to meet new carbon emission targets for their vehicles. The auto industry will now be getting 3 years to do that instead of 1 as was initially planned. So it is kind of clear that Brussels is trying to do its best to create a better environment for the auto industry overall.
Yeah, but can the car makers keep up? Will they be able to?
Yeah, that is the question, of course, because this action plan may be a little too little and, of course, too late, at least is what some analysts would be saying, because the challenges for the EU's auto industry include high energy costs, of course, the transition to electric vehicles, and those U.S. tariffs, which you just talked about. And if we look at the leading EV seller in the world, it is Chinese car maker BYD. And it is so dominant that it accounts for nearly a quarter of all electric vehicles sold, so of the electric vehicle market. And that is, of course, more than quadruple the market share of Volkswagen, which is Europe's biggest car maker. So, of course, European car makers may struggle to catch up with Chinese players in particular. But, of course, policymakers here in Europe will be working very hard to support the industry because it does play such a major role in the economy. It actually accounts for 7% of the EU's GDP and employs around 14 million people, according to the European Commission. So there are many cities and regions whose whole economies depend on the auto industry. So this isn't just about the economy, it's also political. So it's not a surprise that the EU has stepped in with this action plan for the auto industry.
Yeah, 14 million employees. That's a whole lot. And I'm sure the bloc will give it its full attention. But let's see, what are the stocks, or how are the stocks doing at intraday?
Well, Ini, it's a different story. It's been up and down this week, and European shares are reversing earlier gains. The Pan-European Stock 600 is actually down more than 0.5%. Now, stocks, of course, rose initially as investors welcomed U.S. President Trump's decision to delay 25% tariffs on the auto industry for another month. Now, investors have their eyes on the European Central Bank right now. It is set to announce its latest interest rate decision in the next hour. And analysts expect the ECB to cut borrowing rates by 0.25%, and that will bring down the benchmark interest rate to 2.5%. And it will be the central bank's sixth rate cut since last June. So investors, of course, will be on the lookout for hints as to how the ECB plans to proceed with further rate cuts. And the economic picture, of course, has been complicated by so many things going on in the world right now. There's geopolitical tensions, Trump's tariffs, and of course, also huge spending plans on defense by European governments. So there is a lot going on, and it will be interesting to see what the ECB president, Christine Lagarde, says, and whether there are going to be any hints there on the future course of the ECB.
Yeah, well, complicated is the word there, Chief, as you said, with all that we're hearing from the U.S. But thank you so much. And we'll also be watching with you to see what the decision would be.
All right.
Laddie, I left him at the NGX in the morning. I don't know if he's run away or if he's still there, but I want to believe he's there gathering numbers. Laddie.
Ini, I'm still here.
Ah, good.
I'm still where you left me, Ini. I'm still here.
Good.
All right, let's get a check on what's playing out with the markets now. Talking about the crypto market, we're seeing the color right there is green right now. Bitcoin up about over 2%. And it's still extreme fear, though. If you look at the fear greed index, 25 points. Over 100. So investors there are still extremely fearful with all the volatility we're seeing in the market there. Let's look at the top cryptocurrencies that we tracked. That we're seeing Bitcoin 2.56% up, Ethereum 2.30% up, BNB 0.60% up, Cardano on the flip side, that's down 0.89%. Still trying to get back above that $1 psychological level, but not able to get over it yet. Then for the top headlines in the market, we're seeing El Salvador. They're still buying Bitcoin despite the deal they had with the IMF. You know, the IMF told them they have to reduce their purchases of Bitcoin or stop it altogether so they could get a $1.4 billion loan agreement. That was reached in December. But fast forward today, El Salvador, they're still buying Bitcoin at this point. Then Binance, one of the biggest exchanges in the world, they've delisted about 5 Bitcoin pairs. They normally do that from time to time, maybe when they see an asset is not getting that much volume, they end up delisting it, or maybe it doesn't have a community trading it that much. So they've delisted about 5 new pairs there, and they're mostly Bitcoin pairs. Then Shiba Inu, that's one of the top meme coins. They're burning about 20 billion tokens have been burned so far. Not sure who's burning this amount of tokens, but the investor bought about 20 billion of that and sent it to an address that cannot be accessed by anyone. So that's what's playing out there. Those are the top stories in the crypto market. But let's talk to someone who charts asset classes for a living right now. I'm talking about Sunil Dixit. He's a chief technical strategist at SK Charting. Hello, Sunil.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, Sunil. It's great to have you. So I know you're watching the price action right now happening with Bitcoin. Tell me, what levels are you watching?
See, when it comes to Bitcoin, my perspective is for a bit long term. I don't watch small time frames on Bitcoin because the beta size is quite big. And at the moment, what I see as a resistance zone is 92K, which needs to be cleared with a daily and weekly closing basis. For further upside, that targets 94K, and next comes 97K, that is major resistance, 100-day SMA. And if Bitcoin is able to clear 97K on daily closing basis, then only further upside can be expected, which has a lower possibility at the time being. And on the downside, 89K and 86,500. These two levels are active support zone. Going ahead, if
trading,
sellers
looking at trading that's happening so far, how are you seeing volume?
Sorry?
How are you seeing the volume of trades when it comes to what investors are buying and selling?
As the price shows, volume keeps fluctuating on the buy side as well as selling side. But sellers are still not out, and the downside probabilities are increasing with every passing day. And this will continue, the selling pressure will continue as long as the major resistance, overhead resistance, that is positioned at 97K, that acts as resistance. So the chances tilt towards more downside. And very important to be monitored is if sellers take a call below 83,000, that is 200-day SMA, on a daily and weekly closing basis, then a deeper correction cannot be ruled out.
All right, we'll definitely keep watching. But when you zoom out of the charts, would you say Bitcoin is in a bearish zone, or is it still bullish in the long term when you zoom out?
I think in near future, Bitcoin may remain sideways between 83,000 major support and 97,000 major resistance, and break and close below 83,000 will expose deeper support zones, more decline to come. That starts with 65K.
Wow, that's definitely a big number. When you say 65,000, that's a huge drop. Well, thank you so much. I know you watch the charts every day. That's Sunil Dixit, Chief Technical Strategist at SK Charting. Thank you for coming on today.
That's welcome, Larry.
All right, Ini, there you have it. That's a big drop if you're looking at it from where we are right now. He's saying 65,000 might be a spot that might actually happen. But, you know, with Bitcoin, you never know at this point. Anything can happen.
Yes, Laddie, anything can happen. And he did say there that he's a long-term holder. So I guess that's why he's not fluttered or worried about whatever movement that's happening. But take care of you, Laddie, and have a safe trip back here because we're expecting to see you on the stock market report at 10 p.m. today. All right. All right, so that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for being a part of Business Incorporated. We hope we have met your expectations. We promise to do better tomorrow on Business Shows. We always ensure that you're empowered with information. I'm John McQuarrie. See you tomorrow. God's grace.